was on the cross. Fascinating, isn't it, that the one who created every one of us, knit us together in our mother's womb, created Adam and Eve out of the dust of the earth and clay and breathed in them, gave them the breath of life, and they became a living being. How do you get to the point where the all-powerful God of the universe is being killed by his created angel? Not only just killed, but he is going through the most excruciating pain that any human being's ever suffered, the most excruciating denial of even his disciple, denying that he knew him, another one betraying him, all of them fleeing, walking the winepress alone, and nobody stood with him during that time. How did we get here where God voluntarily stayed on the cross, voluntarily continued to sustain Satan's life while he was killing him? How did we get here? What kind of God is this that we're talking about today? Well, I find it fascinating because Jesus, when he created this world and everything was good, he warned Adam and Eve, there's been a war in heaven. Satan's been cast to earth. And you can eat from all the trees except for this one over here, because the day you eat of it, you will certainly die. And so Satan was ready. He was waiting. I don't know how many days, how many weeks, how many months. I don't know. We don't know how long he was there, but you can imagine sharpening what he would do when they came over. He came up with a deception of a talking snake. A deception, visible deception before you even heard him. Well, when you heard him speak, you knew. It's like, snakes don't talk. This one's talking. Deception. We know that it's interesting how Adam and Eve, when they ate from the forbidden fruit, when God came down, what they said. Eve said, we'll go with Eve first. Lord, the serpent that you created, it deceived me. There it was. Satan deceived the human race, starting with Eve. He deceived Eve. And the tree looked delightful to eat, so she ate from it. She was deceived. That's how we got to the Calvary. Then she went to Adam. Now, Satan's too smart. He knew that Adam would never be gullible to a talking serpent, but he knew he would be gullible to his loving wife, whom he loved dearly. We don't know. Perhaps Adam took it upon himself. It's like, you know what? God told us we should stay together. Eve wandered from my side. I should have been paying attention. I neglected my duty. It's my fault. Eve has eaten from the forbidden fruit. I deserve the same consequence she does. I will not be apart from her. I will eat it too. Knowingly, he defied God, and he ate from the fruit as well. Satan gets you two ways. He gets you through deception on the one side. He gets you through loyalty to your spouse, to your friends, to your family, whatever it is. Whatever it is, doesn't matter if he can get you to break faith with God. And so they broke faith with God. Now God was in a situation where he anticipated. He knew that this would come up sometime during the history of the universe where some intelligent being would take a different view of God being love and maybe want to do something selfish. He already had in place the plan of salvation that was laid from the foundation of the world. That is, before he even created the world, he already had a plan of salvation in place just in case someone should exercise their freedom of choice to not love God, to not want to serve him, to want to be worshipped instead of God, to fight against God, to try to do a coup d'etat against God, and finally to try and kill him on the cross. God was ready for that, and he was willing to do that. Not without some difficulty. We read in the story of redemption that there was 3 times where God and Jesus got together, and they talked about it. Pretty intense time. All that suffering that they saw Jesus was going to go through, all of Calvary, they saw it all in their forevision. They know the future. Had to step away, come back again, step away again, and finally the 3rd time, we're committed to this. We are going to go through this. We're going to roll the dice. We're going to gamble this. We're going to have Jesus born in the human family. He's going to lay aside his ability to be omnipresent. He's going to live like a man, experience all the suffering and all the pains of a man, just like a man, without any advantage except that he has a connection with me. But no miracle power from himself. All that power will be coming through a connection with God. Everything that he did, we could do by our connection with God. If we're open to God, submitted to God, and willing to follow God, no matter the consequences, like Jesus was. So why are we here? With Jesus hanging on the cross. Knowing Jesus knew it, he knew that any second he said, you know what, I've had enough. I'm done. He could have immediately evaporated Satan and the evil angels. He could have just destroyed them with the blink of the eye. They would have been gone. The suffering and the terrible pain would have been over. He could have left with his angels and left planet Earth to its demise and said, we're out of here. Too much. No, but you know what? He stayed here. He stayed here because he really wants to have a personal relationship with you. When Adam and Eve ate from that forbidden fruit from that tree, God didn't come a week later, I'm going to think about what I'm going to do. Those guys need to learn a lesson. I'm just going to let them live in suspense for a while, and then I'm going to come down and lay into them. No, you know what? God came at the usual appointed time when the cool of the evening apparently was when he came down and talked to Adam and Eve. He came looking for them. They weren't there. Adam and Eve, where are you guys? You know what? On Friday, God created Adam. Then from the rib of Adam, he created Eve. Then he brought them together like husband and wife and entered a covenant relationship there with them on the horizontal level. He also entered into a covenant relationship with them on the vertical level, then with God, that they would love God and he would love them. In the same way you say, I love my spouse with all my heart, all my soul, all my mind, and all my strength, and forsaking all others, keep holding to you until death do us part. In the same way, God kind of makes a similar covenant with us when we enter a covenant with him. When Adam and Eve sinned against God, you know what? That was like having an adulterous affair if you're married. But you know what? God didn't throw them out. God did not. In fact, even he had one of the prophets of the Old Testament, Hosea, go through that very experience where his wife was an adulteress, and he says, go and buy her back from those who are selling her to take her again. Like 2 or 3 times, I think Hosea had to do that. And that's a picture of us and our unfaithfulness. God's church, his bride, his wife, in a covenant relationship. We're in a covenant relationship with God if you're a believer. But you know what? God could not wait to get down here to tell Adam and Eve, you know what? Yes, the wages of sin is death, but I am going to come and bear that penalty for you. There's that talk about where there's a serpent and there's the seed of the woman, the seed of the serpent, and one would strike the heel of the other, and the other would crush the head of the other. In other words, Satan would crush the heel of Christ on Mount Calvary. And on Mount Calvary, when Jesus died, he got the victory of Satan, and he has the right to crush the skull of Satan and destroy him completely. That's what took place there. So Jesus, why are we here at Mount Calvary? Because he loves you too much. He loves you too much to let you go. He loved you so much that he would take all the pain and all the suffering he lived through all 30 years of his existence here. You know, it's not easy to live down here on planet Earth. He experienced a sibling. He was kind of like in a blended family, and sometimes that can be kind of difficult. He experienced being the younger child. Apparently, Joseph was married previously and is widowed, and he had older children, brothers and sisters. You know what it would be like to be the runt of the litter, by the new wife, and the other one's older. Remember how they try to tell Jesus, hey, you know what? You need to stop doing so much ministry like this. You're going to run yourself ragged. And he's like, my mother and my father, brothers and sisters are those who do the will of God. You guys have no authority over me. I'm doing my Father's business now. But I want you to realize that Jesus could have walked away, but he went through all the pain for you today so that you could have a covenant relationship with him. I'm not talking about just a marriage, because there are dead marriages where there's really not much love. It's now just a matter of the outward fabric that they've entered a covenant relationship publicly, but there's no intimacy there, real intimacy of heart, emotion. There's no connection. Just living together, cohabitating like married singles, but they're still married. It's not that what Jesus wants. He doesn't want that. He wants real, authentic relationship with you. He wants to know what your feelings are, what your challenges are. Cast all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. God cares about us. And that's why he went to Calvary. That's why he allowed Satan to dig in on him. 40 times minus 1 on the stripes to the back. When 40 was considered a possibility that somebody could die at that amount of times, 40 minus 1 times 2. And you read Desire of Ages that Jesus, when they put that cross on him, he just couldn't bear up anymore. He lost so much blood by that time. So much blood. And they knew the second time when they put that on him that if they didn't get help, he wasn't going to make it to the Calvary to crucify him. He was going to die right there. We better find somebody else. And so Simon was chosen to carry that cross. Because he loves you. That's why we're here. That's why we're at Mount Calvary. That's why we're here today to celebrate the Lord's Supper. because he loves us so much. And he's coming again soon. Friends, that's why we are going to celebrate that today. At this point, we're going to separate for washing the feet. But don't forget, it's all because you're precious to God. Wow, you're precious to God. Crazy precious. And also, God withheld not his own son, but he delivered him up to go through all of this stuff so that you could sit with his son on his throne, even as his son sits with him on his throne. Can you believe God wants you to sit with him on his throne? After all the sinning we've done in this world, the fact that we love his son, those who love, I know I can tell you right now, if anybody loves my children, I love them. I love them. Whoever loves my children, boy, I love them. I get it how the Father says, if you love my son, if you believe in my son, that's, anyone who has a son has life, and anyone who does not have a son does not have life. That's just the way it is. Except the provisions of gift of love and grace, you've got life. If you don't, you just don't have life. You reject my son, you reject life. So let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate Jesus. Let's go do the foot washing. Guys downstairs, girls in the back there, and we'll come back and we will participate in a celebration of Jesus' sacrifice for us.